I'm gonna give you the best exercises that you can do before every single HYROX workout. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Steve Collins, an online health and performance coach, and I help amateur athletes all the way up to high-level athletes, including HYROX athletes, reach a new level of health and performance. If you're competing or you're thinking about competing and you wanna use methods that are science-backed, along with a philosophy, which is mine, that is unique and has the experience behind it, you've come to the right place. HYROX warm-up masterclass, let's get into it. So your warm-ups are probably the most important area to keep your body finely tuned. And when we think about HYROX as a sport, you as athletes, you have to be what's called a closed skill athlete. And what that means is the environment doesn't change. Every sled you do is the same, every row you do is the same, every run you do is the same. Whereas, field sports, football, soccer, rugby, all those sports are more chaotic. The environment changes. So when they warm up, it has to be very different to how a HYROX athlete warms up, okay? So the conditions are always consistent, they're always the same. So as a HYROX athlete, you still need to be stimulated in your warm-up. We have to do stability focused work, proprioception work, raise the body temperature. We have to do some skill, mobility, warm up the ankles, warm up the knees, the lower backs, the posterior chains, the quads, so that when it comes to your training and your competition, all the muscles are fired up, the brain, the body is nice and warm, and you're ready to go. So if you aren't warming up, you're missing a massive part of the puzzle. Let's talk about what warming up can do for you. So if we're doing specific mobility drills, we can target specific areas that we need to enhance our overall performance and competition. We also know that warming up will increase our heart rate along with raised body temperature. So we get better blood flow into the body, into the muscles, into the tendons, into the ligaments, and all those soft tissues. So it will help contribute to a lower risk of injury. And it will also get blood into the brain, which will help us produce more speed, more power, more strength. So whether you're a beginner working on the basics or a seasoned pro, I found that to get the best out of a workout, the 3 areas that you need to hit with your mobility are the hips, shoulders, and spine. Mobility is your ability to control a joint through its full range of motion. We need to combine basic mobility with stability in order to get a transfer to performance. Let's get started. The first one is cat-cows. This will really help open up your spine, your thoracic region, taking the back through flexion and extension. Do 1 to 2 sets of 8 to 10 reps. The second one is again targeting the spine, the thoracic region, a little bit of lower back as well. It's thoracic rotations. You might snap, crackle, and pop a little bit with this one. Do 1 to 2 sets, anywhere between 8 to 10 reps. The third mobility drill, again for the spine, for the thoracic, is thread the needles. 1 to 2 sets, anywhere between 8 to 10 reps. The main role of that mid-back to upper back, the thoracic, is rotation. Just doing cat-cows isn't going to cut it. We have to get some rotational work through the spine, which is why this one and the thoracic rotations are very, very important, especially for anyone that has a desk job, for anyone that does a lot of running or a lot of sort of bench work, overhead press work, or weightlifting. We're gonna get very tight in that mid-back. These are drills that you can do every single day. The fourth drill is for the shoulders, real simple, arm swings. Anywhere between 10 to 20 reps. If you feel like you need more work, simply do more of them. So I found those few exercises there help everyone to recover faster, to get warmed up. And if you've got shoulder pain, knee pain, hip pain, lower back pain, those exercises are fantastic. If you can do those movements often and do them well, it almost guarantees success in your warm-ups and with injury prevention. Now the mobility's been done, it's useless if we don't teach the central nervous system how to activate, recruit, and produce power, strength, and speed in those muscle groups. This is where the activation work comes in. Now with the running, the skis, the sleds, everything you do in the HYROX, trunk control is critical. So trunk control, it's the capacity to maintain a relative static position, but also dynamically. So it's broken into 2 areas, static trunk control and dynamic trunk control. Before working on the dynamic trunk control, we have to have the foundation to work from, and that's the static trunk control. To produce power on that ski erg, on that sled, even when you run, you have to produce power from the ground up, from the ground into the feet, into the legs, through the core and through the trunk, out into the upper body, okay? So this trunk core area is so important that you have a stable base and a nice tight position. So for us to produce high quality dynamic movement when we're doing our exercises, we have to be able to create static trunk control. We have to be able to brace, resist, and it's what we call yielding ability. And this is how you can integrate it into your warm-ups. So it's always best to start from midline and work out. So the first one is simple. It's a side plank. We're gonna hold this anywhere between 15 to 30 seconds. Next up is a front plank. Again, really simple. Hold it for between 20 to 30 seconds. Third is a single leg glute bridge with a slight pause at the top position. The next one is a bird dog. Next up, we have a dead bug. Anywhere between 8 to 10 reps on each side. So between 16 and 20 reps per set. Now those first few exercises are all going to engage that core. It's going to teach you how to brace and create a nice stable foundation for you to produce power and strength and workout from. Next up, we're going to activate all of those postural muscles in the upper back so that when you are pressing, running, pushing, pulling, hell, even deadlifting and squatting, all of those postural muscles are tight and engaged. We're going to start with I's, Y's, T's, and A's. We go through those 1 to 2 sets, 10 to 20 reps on each of those positions. This should cover all of your bases on those knees, hips, lower back, and posterior chains, which will lead to greater neural drive in those muscles so that you can produce more strength, more power, and more speed, and lower the risk of injury. So now that we've mobilized our joints, we've activated those muscle groups, now we need to put it all together, stimulate more of that central nervous system, increase neural drive even more, and we do that with dynamic trunk control. This will incorporate it all: skill, stability, mobility, proprioception, movement, and speed. These few drills will have you covered. Forward pogos. So when we do those pogos going forward, we want to make sure that toe is active, which means we need to focus on pulling that toe up nice and fast and sort of slapping the floor and trying to minimize ground contact time. The next one is lateral pogos, same as the first, but now we're moving sideways. Again, it's about slapping the floor, keeping that active foot, and just pulling that toe up nice and fast. This is going to strengthen your Achilles, fire up the nervous system, and activate all those calves, tibialis, and calf muscles. The next one is a high knee skip. Now we're moving into a little bit more power and being a bit more focused on being dynamic. Skip, pop. We switch, we do the other side. So we want to power down on one side, have a little skip, and repeat. We want to do all of those 3 drills for about 10 to 20 meters and do it once or twice. And the final exercise is a high knee bound or bounce. Okay, this is going to just finish you off, make sure that the body's really fired up, the legs are warm, the body's warm, the heart rate is going, and the body temperature is raised. Okay, it's a little bit more explosive and a little bit more dynamic than the others. So that's going to be peak power, okay? It's not low amplitude based like those first few, okay? Those last 2, really powerful, really explosive, really dynamic, really going to increase neural drive. Now, these drills here are essential before running, before leg workouts, even on recovery days. You can work on those drills to help you with your lower body power development and your running mechanics. And for upper body focus, you can add these ones in. Kettlebell angels. Now this is great for the stability through the core, and dynamically we're strengthening the shoulders, the elbows, specifically the rotator cuff. Okay, now many of us have weak rotator cuffs. Even in HYROX, you need to have strong rotator cuffs so that we can produce power as optimal as possible. Another really good exercise to strengthen that rotator cuff, but not as dynamically, more of a stability focused drill, is the kettlebell armbar. This is one of my favorites for developing shoulder mobility and core control. Another really good one is plank with shoulder taps. Now, if you need more core work, these are two fantastic drills that you can implement in your warm-up to help strengthen your core and the lower body. This one's called an aeroplane. Simply hinge from the hip, get to your bottom position, and try and balance and rotate out, not fall over, and then rotate back in. Actually, you can even hold on. That's a really nice drill for the hamstrings, for the groins, for the core, and for the glutes. So we're just hinging and pivoting. The last one is the hip hike. This is a great drill. A lot of physios recommend it for anyone who has weak glutes. All you do, hands on your hips, we shift the hip down to the left ever so slightly, and then you pull the hip back up. So this is a hip controlled movement. We do not want any knee bend, and we do not want any torso movement. We can see that left side drops and then pulls back up and levels out. Okay, very, very subtle movement, but I can feel that right in that glute right there. Okay, 10, 20, 30 reps on each side and you're good to go. Okay, so what did we learn today? Well, we learned that warming up does improve performance. It can help us be more mobile. It can help us build stability, balance, proprioception. And we also learned that it helps improve neural drive. And neural drive is essential so that you can improve power, speed, and strength. We learned that if you start with the mobility, then go into the activation, and then finish off with static trunk control and then dynamic trunk control, you can increase neural drive and power to a greater level. There is a lot of warm-up drills there for you, and the ones that you choose to do will depend on your training day. So if you're doing a lower body day, obviously do the lower body ones and then maybe a little bit of the spine ones. If you're doing an upper body day, do more of the upper body work. And if you're doing a running day, you're going to do some runs, do some of those drills that we did outside too. So your warm-ups don't have to be complicated, but they do have to have some sort of flow to them. And if you're someone who is struggling to put it all together, your warm-ups, your training, your preparation for HYROX, look no further. This is exactly what I specialize in. I've been working with amateur all the way to high level athletes for over 15 years. And if you're interested in working with me, there's an application form in the description below. Fill it out, let's book a call and we can chat further. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you follow the page, subscribe, because in the next video or two, I'm gonna be showing you how to warm up on HYROX race day, which is gonna be an absolute masterclass and one that you don't wanna miss. Exercises are gonna be different to today's. They're gonna be on game day. I hope that was helpful. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.